Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Thursday, April 8th at 1:17 p.m. here in sunny California. The market is humming along. Everything is looking bullish. Had a little bit of a red day yesterday. Looking at this XRP chart, it looks like we found support at 84.7 cents and the resistance point is $1.10. It may, move around up and down within that support and resistance area for a while before it breaks out into its next locale, into its next place somewhere around $2.26, which is very exciting. Also on the macro of this, looks like we're heading ultimately towards $5.53 in the short term is what I believe. And of course, I believe I have a $25 price prediction for XRP before the end of this season. That is the highest take profit level in the Cryptogenic portfolio in terms of XRP. But I want to talk to you about something today that's a little bit more serious. This is not going to be one of my usual videos. I want to talk to you a little bit about purpose. Because what we need to understand is that there's going to be a lot of new crypto millionaires this year. A lot of individuals exposed to levels of wealth that they have never known in their lifetimes. You may be one of them. And even if you don't break $1 million this year, even if you don't become a millionaire, if you've got even a modest portfolio, you're going to be exposed perhaps to a level of wealth that's beyond anything that you've experienced before. That is, you're going to experience gains and a return on your investment this year that goes beyond perhaps anything that you have ever experienced before. Now, if you have never experienced wealth before, you must prepare for it. If you are not prepared for it, wealth can destroy you. If you don't have a game plan for how you're going to deal with the responsibility of wealth, if you don't understand the constellations of challenges and dangers really associated with the acquisition of wealth, acquiring wealth can destroy you. And let me really explain why. Let me try to take a moment to explain why. First of all, I think there's 4 levels of wealth. This is just my personal philosophy. I think there's 4 levels of wealth. The first level of wealth is the ability to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, and as much as you want. So when you are unrestrained in your ability to provide food for yourself and your family, that is level 1 of wealth. Now, I think a lot of us fall into that category already. You can go buy food. You can cook and you can eat, but a large percentage of the world's population does not fit into that category. More than 50% of the world's population lives on less than $2 a day. So your food choices are very minimal when you're living on less than $2 a day. And even those who make more than $2 a day, I think a high percentage of individuals in the world cannot say that they have the freedom to eat whatever they want, whenever they want, and as much as they want to eat. That is a level of wealth. If you can do that, even if you have a modest home, even if you drive a jacked up car, you are at level 1 wealth. Level 2 wealth is the ability to vacation anywhere that you want to vacation. If you want to go to Hawaii, you can hop on a plane and go to Hawaii. If you want to go to Puerto Vallarta, you can hop on a plane and go to Puerto Vallarta. If you want to go to California, you can go to California. You want to go to Italy, you can go to Italy. It doesn't mean that you do it. It simply means that you have the capacity to do it. It means that you can if you want to. The third level of wealth is the ability to live wherever you want to live. You want to buy a house in the hills, you can buy a house in the hills. If you want to live in the center of the city in a high-rise, you can live in the center of the city in a high-rise. The ability to purchase real estate and live wherever you want to live, that is the third level of wealth. But the fourth level of wealth, and in my estimation, the pinnacle of wealth, the highest level of wealth, is the ability to give whatever you want to give. That is unrestrained generosity, unrestrained benevolence. Not having to stop and think, if I give this, will I have enough? That is the pinnacle of wealth, the ability to give whatever you want to give. Now, why is this important? Thinking this way in my own mind, putting giving at the top of the pyramid of wealth, for me, what it does is it gives purpose to my profits. Because you're in this market because you want to build wealth. But the question is why? What is the purpose of those profits? If the purpose of those profits is simply to ball out of control, you are setting yourself up for disaster and destruction. And I mean, if you just stop and take the first level of wealth, it's not hard to understand how that works. When you move into that level of wealth for the first time, the crisis of deprivation is replaced with the crisis of discipline. Because now all of a sudden you've got this newfound freedom, the freedom to buy whatever you want to eat. Now you have to discipline yourself not to use that freedom to destroy yourself. Because now all of a sudden you're buying more food than you need, and you're buying more food than you want, and you're eating stuff you never would have eaten before, and your whole purpose in life becomes to satisfy all of your culinary curiosities. And what happens is that level of wealth becomes a tool for destroying your health. And so the crisis is no longer deprivation. The crisis is no longer not having enough to eat. Now the crisis is disciplining yourself to say no to certain foods. Disciplining yourself not to use that level of wealth in a destructive way. And so if you're not prepared for that in advance, that level of wealth can become self-destructive. We just sold our house. We need something a little bigger, looking for something with more space. And I've been watching all of these different YouTube videos on architecture and homes and the design of certain homes. And I've also been looking at these videos of these multi-million-dollar homes with 6,000 or 8,000 square feet and swimming pools and exercise rooms. And at first I was just dreaming about having a home that size. But at a certain point, I started to get sick to my stomach just watching those videos. Why? Because I started to ask the question, why would I want to live in a house that size? And what would it do to my family? Living in a house that large would actually make it easier for the members of my family to get disconnected from one another. The way the houses are designed, the function that they serve, is to separate the members of the family and really to provide as much separation as possible from the members of the family. I could see owning a home like that, living in a house like that, hindering my connection with my wife and my child. In other words, that level of wealth could become self-destructive. So the real question is, how do you give purpose to your profits? How do you cultivate a comprehensive vision for utilizing wealth in healthy ways? That is, you not only need wealth, but you need health. Now, first, let me say, you do need wealth. My understanding of the nature of wealth is that wealth is something that every human being should have access to. I mean, if you think about it this way, poverty, the definition of poverty to me, is the loss of human dignity. My wife and I were on vacation with our daughter a couple years ago up in the mountains, and there was a bear outside eating out of the trash can. He was tearing that trash can apart and just eating out of that trash can. I didn't think poor bear. I thought poor us, because if we go out there, that bear's going to eat us. But if you see a human being eating out of a trash can, I don't know about you, but something on the inside of me just breaks. Human beings should not eat out of trash cans. Poverty equals the loss of human dignity. That is, there's a certain level of dignity that every human being should have simply because you're a human being. I believe that all human beings have been created in the image and likeness of God. And because of that, there's a certain fundamental level of dignity that every human being is owed. And when I see human beings living in a situation of poverty, being reduced to begging, something just does not feel right about that. And so if you think about it that way, wealth is actually the restoration of human dignity. Wealth restores human dignity. It gives you a certain level of dignity. You never have to beg. You never have to borrow. You never have to ask. You have what you need, and you have the power to provide for yourself, for your family, for your children. And so wealth, first and foremost, restores human dignity. But secondly, wealth creates generational security. Now, not only will I possess that human dignity in abundance, but I'm able to provide it for my children and my children's children and my children's children and my children's 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 children. That is, generational wealth is about the acquisition and the establishment of generational security. Human dignity secured for generations to come in my family line. But in addition to that, wealth is the power to restore human dignity to those outside of my family, outside of myself. And that means that the true purpose of wealth is not to hoard, not to conserve, not to amass as much as I can for myself, not even simply to make my money work for me, but to make my wealth a vehicle for the betterment of humanity. It goes from personal dignity to generational security to the betterment of humanity. And that construct is what gives purpose to my profits. My ultimate dream is to create a series of financial resources that progressively pull people out of poverty. I don't believe people should be poor. I just don't. I think it's wrong. I think it's a sin. Not to be poor, but to live in a society that allows people to be poor. And I want to do something. I want to do something. And so what will provide me with the discipline to deal rightly with wealth as it comes is the vision of making a contribution. Listen, when you think about your destiny, when you think about what you want to achieve or accomplish in the world, you should not think of it in terms of personal accomplishment. You should think of it in terms of contribution. At the end of the day, your accomplishments mean nothing but your contributions to the world. That is the mark. That's the mark that you'll leave on the world. And if you focus on contributions, you'll have great achievements. But if you focus on achievements, it's just all about you, my friend. In other words, why am I saying all this? Because at the end of the day, wealth can rob you of the right to sleep in peace, to wake in joy, and to walk in love. And in all of your getting, in all of your amassing of knowledge and studying of the markets and looking at the charts and clamoring after short-term price predictions, you got to think a little bit longer term. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why am I trying to get this wealth? What am I going to do with it when I get it? And no, my channel's not changing. I'm not going to stop giving you this stuff. We'll look at Bitcoin too. We'll look at all these other assets. We'll see where the market is going. But there's something more important. There's something more important than where Bitcoin is going in the next 45 minutes or in the next 45 days. And what's more important than that is when it gets there, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? You got to dream about the good that you can do in the world. You got to start asking yourself questions about, at the end of your life, what do you want to say? That you balled out of control? That you had everything that you wanted? Or that you made the world a better place? And the loss of vision ultimately leads to the loss of discipline. The Bible says it. Where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. That is, there's no discipline. The loss of discipline starts with the loss of vision. And the loss of discipline will cause wealth to destroy you. But if you have a vision for the good that you can do in the world and the good that you would do in the world, that will provide you with the discipline that you need to steward the acquisition of wealth for the betterment of humanity. All right, folks, I know I waxed eloquent today and gave you a sermon when all you wanted to know is where is Bitcoin going in the next 45 minutes. So what I did was I drew a little line here. Let's look at this chart here. It could be that Bitcoin finishes this and comes down, or this could be it. It could take off and head up to the next level, but we're still seeing the decline in the RSI. Even though we've popped above it over here, we're still seeing on the macro picture a decline in the RSI. And so until the RSI breaks through these levels here, I don't expect to see us break through these levels here. So I still think we're going to see somewhat of a decline for Bitcoin. Cake token is amazing. It finished this cup and handle pattern and as expected broke above it. I've been talking about this for the last week. And I think Cake Token is on its way towards $45. My ultimate target for Cake Token this year is $150. Really expecting that to do well. Very excited. Looking at this market here, we are right on schedule. Everything's fine. We're seeing the total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin, that is the altcoin market cap, is on its way towards 1.14 trillion, and the Bitcoin dominance chart is moving down towards 54%. And when it breaks below 50%, all heaven is going to break loose in the altcoin market. All right, folks, hopefully that's enough for you today. Just remember, as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. My name is Cryptogenic, and my desire for each and every one of you is to provide you with ways of thinking about approaching this market that enable you to sleep in peace every night, wake in joy every morning, and walk in love every day. And with that being said, this is Cryptogenic signing out.